Cyrus has his first battle. Cyrus soon entered into his first battle and showed his power to form military strategy. Assyria was a strong and violent enemy of the Medes. It happened that the Assyrian king was taking a bride. To honor his fiancée, he planned to hunt, choosing the beautiful mountains near his border with Medes. He already had soldiers at this border outpost, with more arriving to refresh them. Noting wild game abundant beyond his border into Media, he boldly decided to go beyond his border for the hunt in the land of the Medes, with all his outpost soldiers on alert. King Astyages was informed of the movements of his enemies and quickly gathered forces to protect his land. Now Cyrus, seeing that all the rest of the world was off to the rescue, boot and saddle, thought he must ride too. He had longed so often to wear the armor his grandfather had gifted him. He could scarcely believe he was going to put it on. Thus equipped, Cyrus mounted his horse and galloped to the front. King Astyages, though he wondered who had sent the boy, let him stay beside him, now that he had come. Cyrus, as he looked at the Assyrian hunting party within view, turned to his grandfather with the question, "Can those men I see be our enemies, grandfather? Those who are standing quietly with game beside their horses?" "They are our enemies," said the king. "And are those enemies too?" the boy asked, pointing to the Assyrian soldiers. "Those who are riding over there." "Yes, to be sure." "Well, grandfather, a sorry group, come to ride and ravage our lands. It would be well for some of us to charge them." "Not yet, my boy," answered his grandfather. "Look at the mass of soldiers there. If we were to charge the hunting party now, these soldiers of theirs would charge us, for our full strength is not yet on the field." "Yes, but," suggested the boy, "if you just stay here, they will see you ready to receive more soldiers. Those enemies' soldiers will not dare attack. If a few of us attack the hunting party, they will drop their booty quick enough as soon as they find us on their heels." Astyages felt there was much in what the boy said and was thinking all the while what a wonderful sense he had showed and how wide awake he was. He gave orders for his son to take some horsemen and charge the raiders. "If the main body moves to attack," he added, "I will charge myself and give them enough to do here." So Cyrus's uncle took soldiers and galloped to the field. Cyrus, seeing the charge, darted forward himself and swept to the front, leading the group with his uncle close at his heels and the rest close behind them. As soon as the plunderers saw them, they left their booty of hunted game and took flight. When the Assyrian army saw the hunting party in trouble, they pushed forward rank on rank after the Median horsemen. Cyrus, his uncle, and their horsemen had Assyrians all around. But Cyrus never slackened his pace a whit. In a transport of joy, he called on his uncle by name as he pressed forward. His uncle clung to the heels of Cyrus. What would the king think if he and the horsemen left Cyrus in his pursuit? Assyrian soldiers followed close behind them. Better to fight like heroes than die as faint-hearted. Now Astyages, watching their furious onslaught and seeing the enemy move steadily forward in a close array to meet them, decided to advance without a moment's delay himself, for fear that his son and Cyrus might come to harm. His forces went crashing in disorder against the solid battalions of the foe. Being pursued, the Assyrian army turned around and readied themselves with spears and bows for the battle with King Astyages and his army. They expected the Medes to stop and form a line, as they had hitherto done, to stay just out of range in the skirmish. But the fleeing hunting party now came their way, pursued with might by Cyrus, his uncle, and the horsemen. With both this and the approaching army of King Astyages, the Assyrians feared. It was more than they could face. they turned and fled. After them swept the Medes in full pursuit until they were back beyond the Assyrian border. The success of his cavalry pleased King Astyages beyond measure, but he did not know what he could say to Cyrus. It was he whom the engagement was due, and the victory. But the boy's daring was so bold. Not taking glory in the victory, Cyrus kept apart from his grandfather as they returned home. He could not help but reflect as he rode alone to look into the faces of the slain. He avoided all who meant to lead him to King Astyages, for he saw that the countenance of his grandfather grew stern at the sight of him. Such was the life of Cyrus in Media. Cyrus was on the tongues of all in story and in song. Astyages was amazed and highly delighted with him. Cambyses, Cyrus's father, was pleased to learn this. But when he heard that Cyrus was already performing man's deeds, he summoned him home to complete the regular curriculum in Persia. Cyrus also, we are told, said then that he wished to go home, to be obedient to his father. Astyages, too, thought it expedient. So he let him go, and not only gave him the horses he desired to take, but he packed up many other things because of his love for him. Astyages had high hopes that his grandson would be a man able both to help his friends and to give trouble to his enemies, assuming that he would become a satrap for him as his father Cambyses was in Persia. Everybody, both men and boys, young and old, and Astyages escorted Cyrus on horseback as he went, and they say that there was no one who turned back without tears.